Welcome to our weekly roundup of key business developments in Sri Lanka. I'm Nishani Pigera. Let's first take a look at the top stories for this week. Sri Lanka to grow 3% in 2024. Stock market continues bullish momentum. And Port City Colombo to attract more investments with EDB MoU. In our main story this week, the central bank estimates that Sri Lankan economy to grow by 3% this year, reversing in last year's negative growth. Easing monetary policy and a low inflation environment is to drive the economy higher. Further, the regulatory body sees a faster than expected recovery in the tourism sector, with its positive effects spilling over to other related sectors. Further benefits are lifting of import restrictions, declining cost of credit and raw material prices. Meanwhile, resumption of several previously halted infrastructure development projects of the government are slated to drive the construction sector higher. The Sector Purchasing Managers Index rose to 55.9 in March 2024, rising for the third consecutive month. However, the bank cautioned that the economy's positive growth trajectory in the near and medium terms hinges on Sri Lanka's continuation of the IMF program, timely completion of debt restructuring, and the government's commitment to structural reforms. The All Share Price Index at the Colombo Stock Exchange continued its bullish momentum, recording gains for 5 consecutive days. The index is now up a significant 16% from the start of the year. Increasing retail and institutional investor participation in the bourse over the past 2 weeks is driving daily turnover to over 3 billion rupees. Investor interest was seen in the banking and hotel sector stocks. On a related note, at the Treasury bill auction held on Tuesday, yields on all maturities decreased for the 4th consecutive week, falling to single-digit levels. This is a level last seen in March 2022 and is seen as a significant indicator of economic stability. Bids amounting to 288 billion rupees were received, of which 130 billion were accepted. In a bid to attract export-oriented business to the port city, Czech Port City Colombo entered into a memorandum of understanding with the Export Development Board. Accordingly, the port city will leverage its direct access to global markets such as the Middle East, Asia-Pacific and South Asia, while the Export Development Board will offer expertise and support. So far, the port city has attracted close to $3 billion in FDIs, with around $1.6 billion for Phase 2 development of the Marina project and the Colombo International Financial Center. The port city was developed as a special economic zone and will offer tax incentives up to 25 years of strategic business. Sri Lanka's key inflation rate rose to 1.5% year-on-year in April from 0.9% in March. Inflation rose as the favorable base effect is no longer applicable. Food prices fell to 2.9% from 3.8% in February, while prices for non-food items rose 0.9%. As per analysts, inflation is expected to stay around 5% after 3 months. According to Shehan Semasinghe, Minister of Finance, Sri Lanka's key state-owned enterprises are expected to post a significant 556 billion rupees in profit in 2023, reversing part of the 743 billion rupees loss in 2022. In 2022, state-owned enterprises posted significant losses after the rupee collapsed by as much as 70%. Currently, the government is in the process of reforming and privatizing selected SOEs in a bid to reduce the government's debt burden. Sri Lanka's apparel industry surpassed $1 billion in exports during the January to March period, but was slightly down 0.69% from a year earlier. Trade was driven by demand from European and UK markets, offsetting a slight decline in exports to the United States. Despite challenges, the industry aims to generate $4.5 billion in export earnings this year. In our weekly tourism update, during the first 28 days of April, over 132,000 tourists arrived in the country. In the year, just over 767,000 have arrived. Daily arrivals were 4,720 during the month, down from the 6,748 recorded in March. India was the primary source market, followed by Russia and the United Kingdom. State Minister of Finance Shehan Semasinghe expressed confidence in exceeding the $5 billion in tourism earnings by year-end, driven by the strong growth in the tourism sector. The Sri Lankan rupee fluctuated against the dollar this week, with the central bank's indicative mid-spot rate ranging around 296 to 299 rupees. In other market news, John Keells Holdings announced that it has partnered with Melco Resorts and Entertainment to fit out and run its casino operations at Cinnamon Life. The initial investment was slated to be $125 million. As a part of the partnership, John Keells will also rebrand Cinnamon Life as City of Dreams, Sri Lanka. And with that, we wind up for this week. Do subscribe to our YouTube channel at the link below for regular updates on economic and business developments in Sri Lanka. Until we see you again next week, thank you for watching. Stay safe.